Welcome to the latest episode of the Federal's Worldly Wise program, where we deconstruct the latest international issue. In this episode, we examine the just concluded bilateral talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and United States President Donald Trump. The question after Modi's meeting with Trump is, can India breathe easy now, considering the strain that had developed between the two nations when the previous Joe Biden administration was in power? The good chemistry between Modi and Trump was, as always, visible. Has that translated into India sorting out sticking issues with the US? Interestingly, the two leaders held a media briefing before they met for the bilateral talks. Shouldn't the briefing ideally have happened after the bilateral? A cart before the horse situation. It looks like they did not want to discuss in public the specifics of their talks, and this would have surely been sought for by the media. Anyway, over the next few days, the details of the discussion will gradually trickle into the public realm. But for now, it is clear that for India, the yield is mixed. While the US has agreed to repatriate a key accused, Tahoor Rana, in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks of 2008, and has given a free hand to India to deal with Bangladesh, there is no reprieve for India on the issue of tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, as the Trump dispensation calls it. Tariffs have already been imposed on the US imports of steel and aluminum, which will affect India as well. Trump is also asking India to reduce the trade deficit, which is now in favor of India. And this translates into a huge purchase of military hardware, including the latest F 35 stealth fighter aircraft from the United States. The aim is to double the trade to 500 million by 2030. To a question on whether they discussed Gautam Adani, Modi said leaders of nations don't discuss private individuals. But the fact is that prior to the Indian Prime Minister's arrival in the US, the Trump administration let the high profile Indian industrialist off the hook in a bribery case. In an executive order, Trump, a few days ago, directed the Department of Justice to pause enforcement of the law that prohibits US companies and foreign firms from bribing officials to obtain or retain business. The Biden administration had, as viewers may recall, charged Mr. Adani of allegedly being part of a scheme to pay $265 million or rupees 2,200 crore as bribes to Indian officials to secure solar power contracts. The first bilateral talks between the two leaders in Trump's second term reaffirms one known fact about the US president. He is a businessman first, politician second, and a friend next, in that order. As a businessman, Trump has not compromised on the issue of tariffs, and India has been treated like any other country. Never mind the perceived personal relationship with Modi. Trump is pushing for India to buy far more military equipment that will help reduce the trade deficit in favor of the US and bring in business to a struggling US economy. The reciprocal tariff will, as has been reported, is going to hit India's exports, but Trump is looking solely at US interests. Trump is calculating that this will force countries like India to reduce tariffs on US imports. And again, that will help his country market its goods more extensively around the world. There are other long-standing contentious issues between India and the US. Prior to the recent visit, the Modi government decided to amend the Atomic Energy Act and the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act. This appears to have been in anticipation of the just concluded visit, with a view to dilute the liability element that will enable the US to set up nuclear reactors in India. For the last few years, the program had come to a halt as India had passed a law that would ensure full accountability to the parent nuclear manufacturers who were to set up the reactors. This was in line with the decision taken after the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy, where the parent Union Carbide company got away with barely a rap on the knuckle, while India had to take care of the mess caused by the accident in terms of rehabilitation of thousands of victims of the gas tragedy and the compensation due to the victims' families, among other things. The US has for long wanted to enter the huge Indian dairy market, but India has been steadfast in opposing it on various grounds, including taking care of the interests of local producers and New Delhi's concerns over the animal based feed given to cattle in the US that might not go down well with Indian consumers. Whether Trump is going to arm twist the Modi government into giving up India's resistance remains to be seen. As a politician, Trump has not compromised on the issue of imposing restrictions on H-1B visas that Indians benefit from, as he caters to that section of the US community that has for long opposed entry of foreign tech workers, including Indians, into the US. There has been no let up on the issue of illegal immigration as well. Despite all the bonhomie and possible requests from India, Indian deportees have not been exempt from being handcuffed. Whether Modi again brought up the issue in talks with Trump will be known when the next batch of deportees arrive. As a friend, Trump has obliged the Modi government on the issue of lifting bribery charges against Adani and the return of terror accused Rana to India. He has also talked about reducing tensions with Russia, China, and offered to help Modi on the issue of border transgressions with Beijing. It is another matter if India would be keen on accepting the offer. Another point that India would be keen on addressing is the accusation of the previous Biden administration of Indian involvement into the attempted assassination of Khalistani separatist J.S. Panoon in the US. An allied point is a similar allegation that Canada leveled at India over the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, another Khalistani activist. The Biden administration seemed to side with Canada on the issue. It will be interesting to see how the Trump dispensation will view this issue. The meeting between Trump and Modi went on for around 4 hours, according to reports. Some aspects of the meeting are known, others will be out in the public realm over the next few months, if not weeks. That will provide a clearer idea who gained more from the bilateral, Trump or Modi. But for now, both are smiling. Thank you.